today's video, we are on the M6 near to junction 12 in Staffordshire. We won't be staying on the M6 as we'll be taking the exit. At the top of the slip road we'll come across a roundabout called Calf Heath Roundabout, better known to most people as the Gailey Interchange. Depending on whether you're turning left or right off this roundabout will determine whether you come across something that is said to be Britain's newest or something that is actually Britain's oldest. And we'll also tell you what this is all about. Let's discuss it. On the trucker's eye. Crossing the M6 at the Gailey Interchange you'll find the A5. The A5 is one of Britain's longest A roads. It actually starts right here at Marble Arch in London. This footage is taken from Google Earth, and as you'll clearly notice, Marble Arch is covered up, and this was due to extensive renovation work taking place. And as many of you will already know, this is exactly how it should look. Marble Arch originally stood outside Buckingham Palace, but due to expansion works of Buckingham Palace in 1851, the arch was moved to its current location, just to the northeast corner of Hyde Park and at the bottom of the A5 or the Edgware Road. Here in 2025, the A5 more or less follows this route. The original A5 did actually run into the city of St Albans. However, today the A5 is actually broken up by the A41 near to Elstree. Ultimately, the A5 ends up in Wales, in the town of Holyhead, a town that we've seen before on the channel. There is something massively ironic about being in Holyhead at this point in the video, that even though we're making a video about a small piece of the A5 actually near Cannock, that we end up in Holyhead twice. All will be revealed later in the video. As we're in a truck we will be making a left hand turn towards the port of Holyhead, but it's this exact junction that signifies the end of the A5 here in the modern day. The Holyhead port being just around this corner where you can catch a ferry to Dublin. Like I said, we'll be back here shortly, but let's get back down to Cannock. The official title of this part of the A5 near to Cannock is called Watling Street. I'm sure many of you are already well aware of what Watling Street is. For those of you who don't know, Watling Street is an historic English route that ran from Dover in the southeast right up to Wroxeter near to Shrewsbury. Having been used by ancient Britons, it was then paved by the Romans during the Roman Empire, when Romans governed Great Britain. Even in those long gone days, there were far less potholes than there are today. Many of England's main trunk routes have been developed from Watling Street. Large parts of the A2 in Kent are also called Watling Street, as they were also part of the original Roman road. We'll be using the A5 again very shortly, but first it's time for a coffee. And it just so happens that on this historic piece of road near to Cannock there is a very historic building. It's famous to truck drivers, bypassers and especially locals in Cannock. It may or may not have had a song written about it. Truck stop. Okay, I made that up. It's actually called Bus Stop. It is by a band called the Hollies. And this is the Hollies Transport Cafe. And this is the oldest known truck stop in Britain. The history of the truck stop dates back as far as the 1930s. It was first opened as a tea room, and between the 1930s and the 1950s, bed and breakfast facilities were also added. Just prior to 1960, the business was bought by a trucker named Derek Curtis. Mr. Curtis and his wife Margaret ran the business for the next 4 decades. Having been known as the Glasshouse through the 1950s, it was 1965 that the truck stop became known as the Hollies. I do think that's enough mileage for now from the Hollies band jokes. Here in the modern day, the name for the Hollies is now called The Stop, although most truckers will still call this place the Hollies. However, the locals know this place by a completely different name. For some reason, the name that the locals call this place reminds me of this.
Sunday, Monday, happy day.
And that's because the locals refer to this place as Greasy Lills. The Hollies unofficially became Greasy Lills after a young girl called Lily started work there. She was apparently very fond of wearing a lot of makeup, and the heat from the kitchen made the makeup look very greasy. Here in 2025, you can't fault the staff. The staff at this place are brilliant. A special mention though does go out to Henry. Henry is on the security but also looks after the parking of the trucks. Of an evening when everybody is coming in at the same time, he has a big job on his hands to make sure that everyone is parking in the correct places. But it's not just the truckers and the local people who use the Hollies. You also get a lot of bypassers popping in, and that includes many famous people. As well as people like Tom Jones and Bernard Manning, other people have also popped into the Hollies, and you can see this on their Facebook page. Musical stars like Linda Nolan and the band The Stiff Little Fingers have popped in, and there's always been sporting stars like darts player Eric Bristow. But do you know who the guy is on the left next to Eric Bristow? And do you know why he was there? I'll bet some of you do. And this takes us back to the horse racing bit in the intro. You see, Certas Energy back in 2021 acquired the Hollies. They then set about rebranding it and painting everything purple.
Has it always been purple?
Well, actually Joey, no it hasn't. And that's because the previous owner, that guy that we just seen in the photograph with Eric Bristow, was Fred Doane, a British billionaire businessman and the owner of the bookmaking chain Betfred. Fred Doane had acquired the Hollies and rebranded it into a business called Road King. Mr. Doane had a big impact on the Hollies, turning its fortunes around completely. Mr. Doane's Road King business had massive plans for building 50 truck stops over 5 years. Sadly, Road King only managed to get a further one truck stop built. And can you guess where it was? That's right, it was built in Holyhead, not far from where the A5 actually ends, roughly 140 miles away from the original Hollies on the A5 near to Cannock. There's no doubt that there's been a lot of changes in the history of the Hollies on the A5 near to Cannock. My first memories of going there was when it looked like this. I always find it interesting looking at old photographs in comparison with modern day photographs. If we put the two photographs together, you'll notice that the tree line is exactly the same in the same place as where it's always been, at the back of the Hollies. The only one problem you may have at the Hollies is getting back out onto the A5. It's now time for us to leave the Hollies, and we're going to make one more visit in this video, which is just the other side of the Gailey Interchange. So let's get back on the road and get up there. And this, hidden away from the road for the moment, is what you'll find if you head west from the M6 onto the A5 at the Gailey Interchange. This is the construction site for the new £1 billion West Midlands Interchange. The West Midlands Interchange will comprise of a rail freight hub and logistics park on a massive scale. In fact, the site will offer up to 8 million square foot of prime logistics facilities. Why not take a look for yourself? And there you have it. Just a few years from now, you'll have a brand new rail freight terminal and massive logistics park, and it'll all be built just the other side of the roundabout that we're heading up to, just a mile from the Hollies Truck Stop. A petition against the interchange was actually presented in Parliament. Even local MP Gavin Williamson is reported to have said that the scheme is idiotic. He was also at one of the protests against the West Midlands interchange going ahead.
Well, it was quite obvious to me that this is a wrong type of development for the wrong area. The challenge we're going to have is not just the destruction we bring about, but it's going to be the literally hundreds of thousands of extra vehicle movements that we're going to be seeing, not just in terms of the extra traffic going onto the M6, but the extra traffic on local roads all around the area, the impact it's going to have on communities such as Coven, Brood, Penkridge, how it will potentially have a negative impact on people's quality of life.
The solution to carry any extra traffic comes in the form of a proposal of a new road, the A449 to the A5 link road. But there's no mention of any changes to the roundabout at the Gailey interchange, the Gailey Island which is on the A449 and the A5 junction, or even the A5 to help carry the extra traffic. So is this just another half-botched job? Everything that comes in via that train and leaves by that train will also go onto a truck on the road. Maritime Transport have the contract to run the West Midlands interchange. There's going to be a massive increase in vehicle movements in the area. And like we regularly say on this channel, trucks need parking, and there's not enough of it by half. Despite the fact that there's the Hollies Truck Stop not far away, and the Truckers Rest just a half a mile from the Hollies, both of these truck stops are rammed every single night of the week. And that's just what it's like in the here and now. Imagine what the demand for parking is going to be like in the area once this logistics hub finally gets opened. The Hollies are going to need a much bigger truck stop. I do hope you've enjoyed this video. Don't forget to get your comments in the comment section below, and if you have enjoyed the video, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already done so. I'll see you all next time. One trucker's eye!